Well, Coach, I guess we'll start with Coastal. Just Grayson Call obviously going to play in the game for says he will. Just what type of challenge is that present for you guys?
Yeah, we're prepared, just like we have every week of the season, just for all those guys to play. And Grayson's a 3-time Sun Belt Player of the Year, and he's that for a reason. He's a very good quarterback, operator, gamer, winner, and he's done that. He's done a really good job for that program, and it's meant a lot to that program, meant a lot to that team. And when he's in there, and you saw a couple games when he wasn't in there, just look a little bit out of sync. But when he's in there, that offense is greased up and rolling. And he got plenty of weapons out wide. Was Jared Brown, number 14 from Parkview High School in Atlanta there, who's got some real true speed out there. He'll pitch it to him on the perimeter or look for him in the passing game. The Pinckney kid, 15, who we played against when he was at Georgia State, big tall target there, and doing a really good job for him there. And then tailbacks, they got a stable of them back there, and the most impressive is number 1 probably, who didn't play most of the season, played in the last 3 ball games. I think he had an injury, but he's a kid that can take off on you, so you got to know where he's at. I think he's got really good speed. And then the O-line, I think they do a really good job. In some ways, they're a zone read option type offense. RPO. You see him come out against Troy, and Grayson's kind of taking his free access throws, whether it be hitches or slants or glances, whatever it may be. And then at the same time, you hand the ball to the tailback, or he's going to pull and pitch it out there to 14 on the perimeter and get him in space. So they do a really good job of attacking you, and just our kids are excited for the challenge and looking forward to it, and just looking forward to getting to the bowl game.
When you prepare for a team that you haven't played before, what's that prep like? Do you watch every game, or do you maybe watch what they did in the past month, or what's that balance?
Yeah, so there are a couple things here. Once, when you prepare for a team you haven't played it before, you always go back and kind of, you look last 4 or 5 games, it's kind of in your breakdown, but you look throughout the whole season. The one thing I will say, we played against Coach Chadwell and Willie Corn, even when Willie Corn was a quarterback at North Greenville. We were at Lenore Ryan. He was a transfer from Clemson at the time. He's now obviously the offense coordinator calling the plays. So a lot of this same coaching staff we faced when we were at the Division II level. When we were at the Citadel, they were at Charleston Southern, so faced them again. So we've been back and forth over the years. They've evolved offensively. We've evolved defensively as well. So some familiarity there, and you can kind of see just certain parts of their offense is still there. The belly. They've also changed a little bit where they're more 11 personnel based, but you just kind of go back and see where they've kind of grown throughout the year. And, every team changes throughout the season. You don't necessarily start out the season and finish the season being the same type of offense or same type of defense or whatever it may be. You may find out that, hey, maybe we got to get the ball to Jared Brown, 14, and maybe you're becoming more of an 11 personnel football team, where in the past they were more 20, 21 personnel based. And maybe that's because number 1 was out with an injury too. So I think they've changed a little bit throughout the season. Done a nice job there of doing that. But that's kind of where we are with those guys. Just we looked at the whole season, but you also kind of have some familiarity with those guys just going back through the years.
Coach, you guys have stopped the run all year. Teams are now kind of throwing the ball more. Is that, do you overanalyze that with this much time between games, or how do you kind of balance?
Yeah. Before the bowl team, the bowl game got announced and all that type of stuff, you were looking at, different opponents and who you might play and changing things up. I think all our philosophy has always been for years, stop the run first. And that's kind of foremost. And, looking back at the last couple of weeks of the season, it was almost people knew you could stop the run, so they quit trying to run the football and just kind of air it out. And so we were looking at some things that we could possibly do and change some things up, with us package things, put more DBs on the field. Do some different things there to help that out. Then the bowl game gets announced, and it's Coastal, who's, they're averaging over 150 yards rushing, whatever it may be, and they're more of a running football team, going to run the ball 70-80% of the time. So that then you don't necessarily worry about those type of things, but just as a factor, just kind of moving forward. Just hey, in our mindset, what do we need to adjust? What do we need to offset a little bit? Because it is a pass-heavy league right now. I think even more so with the guys coming in for next year. I think we're going to see more and more guys spread you out, try to throw the football. So you just got to keep that moving forward. And I think that's just the game of football. It's always evolving, always changing. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, everything was under center and everybody huddled, and now all of a sudden nobody huddles, and now a few guys are going back to the huddle, and now they're back in the huddle, so what do you do now? So it's always changing, so it's always a game, and you'll see more change over the next couple of years.
Signing day today, I guess with your position specifically, a couple linebackers, Julian Davis and DJ Johnson. How excited are you to get those guys signed?
Yeah, I think Coach is going to comment on all those guys, but just I can speak generally as just a defensive group, linebacker group. Just really excited about those guys that we're going to have added to our program, and I think we just really solid character guys as well as good athletes and good football players as well. So.
How much has guys who are unavailable for the game that you've kind of had in the starting lineup all year, how has that impacted you to get ready for the bowl?
Yeah, I think our main focus is, you got a preseason, you got the season, you got the off season, and at various times during that portion of the year, you focus on the guys who are in the program available at that time, and that's what our guys are really doing a good job of, taking care of each other right now in that locker room and focusing on Coastal and taking care of the off season. The season's behind us now, and the postseason's here, and let's go focus on the postseason and get ready for Coastal Carolina.
Are these extra weeks of practice the most important part of making the ball?
I think that there's a couple things, right? It's nice to be spending Christmas with each other, and just the fellowship and the camaraderie you have with each other. So I think that's pretty cool, and the fact you get the opportunity to play in a bowl game is huge, especially for our guys who's, we went to a bowl last year, but we get to play in the game. So that's big. I think for our younger guys and developing those guys and just doing some different things there is big, and just they're being around ball, an extra couple weeks as compared to a team that doesn't make a bowl game. That gives you an advantage. And if you do that 2 or 3 years in a row, just think about how many more practices those young men have as compared to somebody who doesn't. So I think that gives you an advantage. So, but the biggest thing is you're in the game, you get to go play a game, and you get to go play a game to win. So that's important.
Is there someone on your side of the ball that from day one camp till now that you think of off the top of your head has improved the most over this time, you've been the most happy with their improvement over this season?
Yeah, I think there's several. I mean, just you could go through a list of guys, just kind of, hey, he's done a really good job. Maybe it's not showing up on Saturdays yet and showing up on game day yet. Siobhan Revel is one that continues in practice, and he's just a big, long corner. And in preseason camp, he struggled through a few injuries and stayed banged up here and there. And we were able to do some things there throughout the season with him, but. Just his length and his athleticism, just moving forward. We may not see it necessarily in the bowl game, but I think, moving forward for next fall, he really gives you a lot of hope that he's a type of corner, really that those Cincinnati guys used to play with. And he's got that athleticism, he's got that size. So I would say he's probably the one that comes to mind first, but there's a whole crew of them.
Time for one more question. Thanks, Coach.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You too.